Hi friends, it's Miss Marissa here today. I just wanted to do a science experiment with you for your day today. Today is Tuesday, so let's see what you'll need for today. Okay, so I'm going to do this experiment two different ways so I can show you how it looks two different ways, but you'll need these things for both of them. You'll need a glass or something you can see through. Okay, so a cup, whatever. I have two different jars. So I have this jar, and then I have a vase. Both of them you can see through. You'll need a cup of water, just like room temperature, so not really hot, not really cold. So you'll need a cup for one jar. So if you're doing two jars with me, you'll need 2 cups of water. You'll need vegetable oil. So I've got vegetable oil here. You'll need salt. This is my container of salt. It's pink, so you'll need salt. And then you'll need 1/4 of a cup measuring cup so that you can measure the oil. And then if you want, this is where Miss Marissa's going to do both, but if you don't have food coloring at home, you can do it without. So if you have food coloring and you want to put food coloring in it, you can put some food coloring in. So you can pick what color you have. If you don't have any at home, that's okay too. You don't have to use it. I'm going to show you with both, so you can do it either way. Okay? So first step is you're going to take your jar. Make sure you can see it. And I have 2 cups of water in here, so I'm going to pour half in this jar and half in this jar. Let's see, a little more. Okay. All right. So we have a cup of water in each of my jars. All right. We're going to do the color in this jar and no color in this jar. Okay. So next, what we're going to want to do is if you're doing food coloring, this is where you add it. So you're going to add it to your water. Did I say this is the one I don't know. Well, we're going to put the food coloring in this one. Remember, if you don't have any food coloring, that's okay. You can do it without it too, okay? I'll show you how you can do both. So, I'll mix that up a little bit. Okay. Perfect. Next, we will put 1/4 of a cup of vegetable oil in both of these. So we're not going to mix it. So you're just going to pour it in there and let it be. And we're going to see what happens just when we pour it in there. Okay, 1/4 a cup in that one. And 1/4 of a cup in our other one. Okay. So, if you can see, here, I'll show you. So on our blue one, you see that the oil did not mix with the water. Same on this one. You can see how this is a little different of a color than our water down here. So I'm going to teach you a new word that this experiment is going to kind of show today, okay? So the new word is density. Density. I'm going to say it again. Density. Can we say it together? Ready? Density. Now you say it. Density, yes. So let's clap it. Ready? Density. Density. Yes. Okay, so density is basically how much something weighs. So if it's heavy, I know we've already done sink and float, right? So if it's heavy, it will sink. If it's light, it will stay at the top. So the density is the weight, whether something is light or heavy. So right here, just with what we have, water and oil, because the oil is lighter in density, it wants to stay on top of the water. It floats on the water. Okay? What was that word again? Density. So, same with up here. The oil is light in density, so it is staying on the top, floating on the top. So now what we're going to do is, let me make sure I have this right. I don't want to do it wrong. All right. Yep. So now all we have to do, I better put the lid on the oil before I make a mess. So now all we're going to do is we're going to take our salt and we're just going to sprinkle some in there. So I think I'm going to do these one at a time and I'm going to hold them up to the camera for you to see. So I'm going to start by doing my food coloring one with blue in it. Okay, so you're just going to take like a spoonful of salt. Not too much, just some. Doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to sprinkle it into the cup. Maybe a little more if you want a little more. So, can you see that? So, what's that word we talked about again? Density. So, when I put the salt in, it went through the oil and through the water and it came to the bottom because the salt was heavier than the water and the oil. It had a higher density. So it sank to the bottom. When it sank to the bottom and it went through the oil, because we put it on top of the oil, it took the oil with it. And so there was salt with oil in the bottom. When that happened, the oil separated from the salt and it said, oops, we're not supposed to be down here. So the oil, if you can see, is releasing from the salt and floating back up to the top because of its lighter density. I don't know if I can like shake it, if something will happen. So let's do it with, if you do it at home, you can see, but there's kind of bubbles forming on the bottom where the salt is. And when you put salt in water, it's going to dissolve. So when that salt starts to dissolve in the water and it starts to disappear, more of that oil that was trapped underneath the salt is going to float back up to the top. All right, so let's try it now so you can see with my glass that doesn't have any coloring in it. So it might be harder to see. It might be easier to see. I don't know. So let's see what's going to happen. So I'm going to take another spoon of salt, almost said sugar, and I'm just going to sprinkle it in there. I guess that's not really a sprinkle. It's really just kind of like a pour. Can you see? It's kind of hard to see if I hold it like that. Look, see that big bubble forming? So remember that salt, when we put it down, when we put it in our jar, it took some of the oil down, and because it was so heavy and high in density, it sunk to the bottom, and some of that oil came with it. So you can see as the salt starts to dissolve down there, the bubbles start to rise. Look at right here. I don't know if you can see it. There are a lot of bubbles right there in that corner. But, so as the salt starts to dissolve, the oil releases back up to the top where it belongs because it's so light. So, what I do want to see and test now is what will happen if we stir it. Do you think it will create more bubbles? Do you think it will create less bubbles? Yeah, so let's see what happens, right? Why not? I mean, we're just experimenting. We can do whatever we want. So, I'm going to go grab you could grab a spoon. You could grab like a straw, something. Don't drink out of the straw, but something that you can stir it up with. So let me go grab one of those because I forgot to grab one, and I'll be right back. All right. So Miss Marissa just got a straw, And let's see. I spilled a bunch of salt everywhere, so that's good. Okay, it's okay. Messes happen, right? They can be cleaned up easily. So, if you can see, I'm just going to stick my straw in there and give it like a little stir. Let's see if anything happens. You can kind of see in the bottom, maybe, there's like some little bubbles that form down there. And if you look underneath, there's still lots of salt in there, but you see some of the bubbles that have formed around there. So nothing really that exciting happened when we stirred it, but we did see that maybe some more bubbles got released to the top of oil when the salt dissolved. I don't know what was all this in there. But so let me know if you do something different. Maybe you maybe you stir the oil and the water together before you put the salt in there and something different happens. Maybe you want to try with sugar or something like that. It's really all about what you want to experiment with and with what you want to do. So, what was that new word we learned again? Do you remember? Density. So density is the weight of something. So we saw that our oil was lighter in density because it's stuck at the top, and the salt was heavy in density because it went to the bottom. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys do, if you do it, if you use a food coloring, if you don't, all that good stuff. And I think on Thursday I'm going to do an exercise video for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. Okay? All right. I'm thinking about you. I miss you, and I hope to see you soon. All right? Love you. Bye.